The iPhone 15s are finally official. I've had some early hands-on time, and here's everything you need to know. So, as expected, there are 4 new iPhones: the iPhone 15, the iPhone 15 Plus, the iPhone 15 Pro, as well as the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And yes, all of them now have USB Type-C. Finally. Finally! Now, I know it's been a long time coming, and it's something that I've been talking about for many years, but it is finally here. My MacBook Pro has USB Type-C, my iPad Pro has USB Type-C, lots of my other accessories and Android phones all have USB Type-C, and now I can just carry one cable around with me. However, there are some differences for the iPhones when it comes to USB Type-C, which we'll be talking about a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. So let's initially start with the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus. So we do have a familiar design, but we have new displays with smaller bezels and the dynamic island. So this is here to stay. No longer do we have the notch. Dynamic island is across all of the iPhone 15 models. Now, the display is also brighter. However, it is not a ProMotion display, which means that it only has up to 60 Hertz. Now, I was hoping for at least 90 Hertz to give you a bit more of a smooth experience. Now, the build has changed slightly. We have a contoured edge and we have some new colors. We've got a blue, a pink, a yellow, a green, as well as a black. We do have a matte finish across the board in the back, which does feel a lot better compared to the glossy. Now for the cameras, so we do have a primary camera as well as an ultra wide. The primary camera has a new 48 megapixel sensor, which is a larger size sensor, so you can get better low light images. And because of that high resolution, you're going to be able to shoot all the way up to 48 megapixels, but you'll also be able to get 2 times lossless zoom, which will be using the middle part of the sensor. So even though we don't have a dedicated optical zoom camera, you can have lossless zoom. One of the things that's really interesting is an updated portrait mode. So now when you're taking regular photos, if there is a subject like a person or a pet in the photo, it's actually going to automatically activate portrait mode without you even having to do anything. And then you're going to be able to adjust the blur after the fact, but also the point of focus after the fact, like you've been able to do in cinematic mode. Now, a lot of these features are thanks to the new chip. This is the A17 Bionic chip, the same chip that we had on the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro Max. So it's a really good chip. It's more efficient. It's also more powerful. So you're going to be able to get better battery life, and with the iPhone 15 Plus, it's going to have the best battery life out of the bunch. Now for pricing, the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus are going to be starting at the same price as we had last year, $800 or $900 for the iPhone 15 Plus. Now let's move on to the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But before we do, just to let you know, these SuperSaf style sunglasses are finally back in stock after many years. These are version 2.0, so although they feature the black on black branding, they are now acetate frames, so they're much more premium, and they also feature polarized lenses, so that's going to reduce reflections. If you want to get your pair, you can go to supersafstyle.com or use the link down in the description below. As before, a portion of profits will be going to charitable causes. Right, so the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, they now feature titanium bodies, which is more durable, and it's also lighter. So that's around 19 grams lighter compared to the previous models. The iPhone 14 Pro Max I've been using for a year. It's a big phone and it's also quite heavy. There are now some foldables that weigh less than the iPhone 14 Pro Max, so this is definitely good to see. We've got a nice brushed finish on the edge. There are 4 colors. There's a natural, a white, a blue, as well as a black. Let me know which color you think is best. We still have the contoured edges like we have on the iPhone 15s, and we have a new internal chassis structure which makes it a lot more repairable, so it's easier to replace the back glass. Now for the displays, 6.1 inches and 6.7 inches with the dynamic island as we had last year, and ProMotion technology, so 120 Hertz, everything is very smooth. But this year we do have slightly smaller bezels, which do look quite nice. Now for the performance, these are now powered by the A17 Pro chip. Now this is a 3nm chip, and I believe this is the first smartphone with a 3nm chip, which is going to give you around 20% faster GPU performance, 10% faster CPU performance, as well as 4 times improvement in ray tracing. So when you're gaming, you're going to be able to see a lot more of that ray tracing, which is going to be really nice. Now we have the customizable action button. So this is replace the mute toggle switch. I forgot what it was called. So the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus still have this, but the Pro models now have this customizable action button like we had on the Apple Watch Ultra. You're going to be able to use this to, of course, put your phone on silent and things like that, but you're also going to be able to, for instance, launch the camera. You've got lots of accessibility shortcuts. I'm personally going to be using it for the camera because Android smartphones usually have the double tap to launch the camera, which I do miss when I'm using my iPhone. So being able to use this action button for that is going to be really good to capture those moments. Right now, let's talk about the cameras. So we have a new 48 megapixel camera, which has a larger size sensor. So that's going to be better for low light images. And you are, of course, going to get that 2x optical zoom on the sensor. Now, both also have an ultra-wide camera with a new lens, but what's really interesting is the telephoto situation. So the iPhone 15 Pro has 3x optical zoom, but the iPhone 15 Pro Max has 5x optical zoom. So this is a brand new lens, which is using kind of periscope technology, which we've seen before, but Apple has done it their own way. So that's going to give you 5x optical, but up to 25x digital zoom. And you'll be able to set different focal lengths as your favorites. So if there is a particular focal length that you like using with the primary camera, you're going to be able to do that very easily. Now, of course, guys, we're going to be doing a SuperSaf style camera comparison as soon as I can. I guess we'll be comparing it to the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. So if you do want to see that first, then do subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss it. Now, there will also be spatial video coming to the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. So this is where you'll be able to use both the ultra-wide and the primary camera together to give you 3D video. This is mostly intended for the Vision Pro when that's out next year. So this is going to be exciting to test out. And we do have ProRes video up to 60 frames a second if you are recording externally. Now this comes back to the USB Type-C ports. So the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max have USB 3, whereas the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus have USB 2. Now this means that the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max will have much faster speeds, up to 10 gigabits a second, which is around 20 times faster compared to the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. I wish that Apple gave all of them USB 3, but unfortunately this is not the case. Finally, pricing. Now, the iPhone 15 Pro does start at the same price as the iPhone 14 Pro did last year, so that's $1,000, but the iPhone 15 Pro Max does start at $1,200. However, one thing to keep in mind is this is for the 256 gigabyte model. So there is no longer a 128 gigabyte model. So if we do compare the iPhone 15 Pro 256 gigabyte model to what the iPhone 14 Pro Max launched at last year, then that is the same price. So a lot of people were afraid that the prices are going to be increasing significantly. That is not the case. It is pretty much like for like. And that is the iPhone 15s. What do you guys think of them? Are you going to be picking one of these up? You can pre-order on Friday and they will be coming on the 22nd of September. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. As mentioned, there is going to be lots more coverage with these as soon as I've got my hands on them properly. So do subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, do smash that like button for me. I'll leave some related videos here and here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.